she's asking Frodo and Sam, was there somebody else with you? Is there anybody else with you? And Frodo and Sam's like, nah, like we've been just walking on our own. But they know, and they capture Gollum as well. And Gollum's just there eating fucking fish off of a fucking lake, like nothing's fucking wrong. I'm
It's
like,
just so
dude, Gollum, you're being another shit fucking guy. You're doing terrible again, bro. But he's just there eating a fish, singing on a rock, like everything's like perfect. Um, After Frodo is like truthful, he says, "Yes, it's Gollum. He is our guide to Mordor." And Faramir's like, "All right, go to him." And then Frodo's like, come here, Gollum. Come here, Gollum." And Gollum's like, "Master, master." Um, Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Saving Point Podcast. On this episode, we will be talking about all things Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. This is the second movie in the trilogy. If you have not gone back and watched the first two parts of this series, we talked about the complete guide to Lord of the Rings. And then we talked about Fellowship of the Ring, where we broke down all the major scenes and all the good stuff associated to that movie. But before we move on to this episode, if you're new here, my name is Willie. I'm one of your hosts, and your other host is over here on the other side. His name is Eduardo. How you doing today, man?
good, man. How we doing?
Oh, Two Towers, man. It was a mouthful for Fellowship of the Ring. If y'all have not seen it, it was a mouthful, and we're back at it with another mouthful with the Two Towers. We have a lot to break down, Eduardo.
Yeah, this one is definitely a lot more, of course, than the Fellowship movie. Um, and then I was late as I was doing this. I'm like, holy shit! Was like Return of the King's gonna be even more shit. I'm like, god damn. But like, so like each episode of this is literally as long as a fucking movie.
It
So,
can be. It really can be. You're not lying, dude.
uh,
Um, But yeah, Eduardo, there's so many scenes in this movie. With y'all watching, we wanted to break it down with just 10 major scenes that we're going to be talking about. Of course, there's a lot more major scenes, but we kind of broke it into just 10 because we'll be here forever talking about this movie if we talk about every single scene. So we're going to break down just 10 of the major things that we thought we would want to talk to you all about. Eduardo has a handful and I have a handful, and we'll be talking about some new characters that is introduced into this film, and that was not in the first one, The Fellowship of the Ring. So again, if you have not seen the complete guide, we broke down all the characters in that episode, and then the last episode, Fellowship of the Ring, was talked about the characters that was involved in that movie alone. But yeah, Eduardo, before we get started, man, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, anything you want to bring to the audience attention before we deep dive into this movie?
no, just appreciate you guys listening. Like Willie said, we put out the complete guide episode, and then we also put it the full Fellowship review. So appreciate you guys tuning in to those, and then like I hope you guys enjoy those, and then hope you guys enjoy this show as well.
Yeah, man. A lot of work is being done to put these episodes on air, so we really, really encourage you all and appreciate your all support and getting the word out and checking us out. We would much appreciate it. But yeah, so I guess we'll just get into it, Ordo, man. A lot to talk about, like we said. And the first thing, for those of you that don't know this movie or is new to the movie or just kind of forgot and need a refresher, I'm going to remind you all what this movie is all about. So, The Lord of the Rings, Two Towers follows the continuation of the epic journey of Tolkien's characters. After the breaking of the Fellowship in the first movie, the story splits into three main arcs in this movie. Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee trek towards Mordor to destroy the One Ring, guided by the treacherous Gollum. Gollum is introduced, finally, in this movie. Meanwhile, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli pursue the kidnapped Merry and Pippin, leading them to the ancient realm of Rohan. There, they encounter Theoden, the king, who is under the spell of the dark wizard Saruman, but soon rallies his people against the impending orc army. The film culminates in the Battle of Helm's Deep, which we'll get into, showcasing the fight for Middle-earth's future. In a moment of desperation, Gandalf returns, rallying forces against Saruman's might. The story ends as Frodo and Sam delves deeper into the perilous journey pushed by the ring's overwhelming power. So that's just a little synopsis of the Two Towers, in case you forgot or have never seen it. That's just what this second movie is about in the trilogy. Anything you want to add to the synopsis, Eduardo?
No, I think you nailed it pretty much, man.
Oh, well, I guess that leads us, man. We're gonna jump right in, or we're gonna actually talk about the major characters that is introduced into this movie. We talked about all the major characters in the last movie, like Gollum, or not Gollum actually, but we talked about Gandalf, Frodo, Sam, Aragorn, all of them in the previous episode. In this episode, we have some new characters that is introduced, and we have a couple that we want to talk about, and including what weapons they have and all that good stuff. So, Eduardo, you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah. So get introduced to uh, a few different ones. So we've been talking about five mainly for this one. Like so Gollum gets introduced, but since we're talking about weapons, um, he doesn't carry a weapon. So, but the ones I want to talk about is so I'm gonna talk about three of them. Elwyn is one of them that gets introduced. Um, the weapon she carries, it's the three I'm gonna talk about is they're all pretty simple. They're all just pretty much just bronze swords. Really, there's nothing too crazy about them. Um, but she has like a bronze guard on her sword, and then she has like a pommel, I think it's called, or something, adorned with the symbol of the Miaras, which are like the wild horses of Middle Earth. So just like a full Rohan style blade is what she carries. And then Elmar is the other character that we will introduce, gets introduced to this movie. And then he also carries a sword by the name of Guthwire, if I'm saying it correctly, meaning battle friend. Um, Again, it's just like another blade with deep folders, like a brass finished cast metal hilt with a twin serpentine horse heads. So sword enthusiasts probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I have no idea what any of that means. And then Faramir is the other what's called character that gets introduced. And then he has like a single-handed blade sword. Which features a green leather wrapped grip, gold twin raven motifs on the cross guards, and a circular pommel. So for those interested,
Yeah,
I
man.
think it'd be cool as fuck to like. I always thought it was cool, like watching these movies or just like any movie that have to do with like sword fighting. Just like learn how to actually sword fight. Dude, that'd be so fucking sick.
I would like to say I'll be good at it, but I don't think I would.
Nah, it'd be fucking horrible. They make it look so fucking easy and like
Yeah.
fucking sick as hell, but like that's just probably hard as fuck. I mean, I'm sure like with like enough time and like training, you'll probably get it right because like they all had to learn it for like movies and shit like this too, and they probably just never figured they'd ever do something like this. So like I'm sure like with enough
No,
training and stuff, but yeah, it's just I don't know, like it'd be like something fun to learn for sure.
it would be fun. Maybe one day, Eduardo, me and you can battle out with some swords, huh? Oh, kick your ass. But anyways, so I just have two characters that I need to talk about. Just like Eduardo, they're not special. They're pretty simple. First one is, of course, King Theoden. His sword. He has a sword, like everyone does. The sword is called Hierogrim. Yep, saying it right. Pretty much it's a sword. Nothing special about this. It just plays a huge role in his character, and it is the weapon of his choice, pretty much. Next one is going to be Haldir. He is, of course, the elf that helps the Battle of Helm's Deep. So, of course, he is an elf, so he has the bow and arrow. He is prominently known for the longbow. And of course, just like every other elf, his archery skills are exceptional, allowing him to strike enemies from a distance with great accuracy. He also has elven blades in addition to his bow. Haldir carries an elegant designed sword. Sword is pretty much, an elven sword, so it is incredible. He has daggers, elven daggers as well, that he has besides of his sword and his blade. But yeah, he is an elf, so he is all type of skilled in combat and elegance and whatnot. But yeah, those are pretty much the five main characters besides Gollum that carries weapons and is introduced into this film. But yeah, Eduardo, anything else you want to add before we get into the scenes?
No, I mean we get introduced to Gondor, of course, in this movie, so that's why a lot of these characters are really pretty much just like from the race of man, other than Haldir. So that's why the weapons and swords are all pretty simple, pretty much the same.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we get introduced with to Rohan and Gondor for the first time, and this movie. So, I guess before we get into it, man, the Fellowship was, of course, epic start of the trilogy, and it kind of set the structure and the tone for the movie. The Two Towers, man, we take a dark road down
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings, man. This was a really dark film, and I I I don't know if this was always my favorite, but I don't know if it is anymore because I'm having a hard time picking a favorite now. But
Mhm.
just rewatching it like twice in the past like 2 months, right? This movie gets darker and darker every time I like watch it, man. It's a dark movie.
Yeah, that's kind of funny that you said it because this was also my favorite movie growing up too. Like just always, this has been my favorite one, and I feel like it is the darkest one out of all of them for sure. Um, and then, but yeah, now after watching them in theaters, like all of them like that, like and especially like extended versions, I'm like I don't even know anymore either. Like I was like
Dude,
fuck, because I'm literally thinking because I was like I'm sure like I was gonna I'm sure we're gonna go over like which one was probably our favorite one at the end, and then I'm like fuck I don't even know because like this was my favorite one, and then like now I'm like I don't even know anymore either.
yeah, it's a hard pick, man. It's really a hard pick. But yeah, this one is definitely dark, and we're gonna get into why it's so dark with all these scenes. There's really like no hope in this except for like the end. So you waited the whole 2 hours and
Yeah,
40 minutes of this movie for some hope, and it like finally happened at the
literally.
end of the film. You're like, man, this was a long journey.
And then like kind of like I mean they win the battle right, but then like the way it ends with like Gollum and stuff like that, it's like it's not so happy because you just know like some fucked up shit's about to happen. So
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy.
Oh man. But I guess we can get right into it. So this is the start of all the major scenes. We have 10 of them that we want to talk about. I'm going to kick it off with the opening scene. Of course, the opening scene is kind of a two-parter. You have the first 3 minutes of the film is Gandalf. We see Gandalf. Last time we saw Gandalf in the Fellowship of the Ring is when he was fighting the Balrog in the mines of Moria, and he fell. He fell with Balrog, and everyone thought that he was lost forever. So in the Two Towers, the opening scene starts with Gandalf. It kind of replays that scene of his iconic line, "You shall not pass," and it replays him falling into the pits of mines of Moria, and it shows us what happened after that. So as the opening continues, we see Gandalf kind of chasing Balrog in the air all the way down to the pits of mines and into the pits of mines of Moria, and he's fighting Balrog. Or he's fighting him with his sword. He's doing everything he can. He's stabbing him. I mean, they're like hauling ass into like this deep dungeon, man, and he's just like whooping Balrog's ass in the air. It was like, holy shit, this is the start of the Two Towers, man. Like the start of Fellowship was, the opening scene was kind of letting everybody know what was going on. This is the rings, this and that. But the Two Towers, man, it started hot. It started with Gandalf fighting Balrog in the air in the mines of Moria. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, no, it's pretty fucking sweet. Kind of how we talked about like yeah, like you said, the beginning of the first one, of course, is like the like the prologue you mentioned, but then like it's all like happy, like when the Shire, stuff like that. But then like even I said like, and then like as soon as like Bilbo leaves, like it just starts to get dark, and then like there's like high moments in Fellowship, of course, like once they get to Rivendell, um, even at the end of it, where like even though like Boromir dies, but like and then like Frodo wants to go on his own, but like Sam like goes after him, and it ends in like, oh, but like this is just like you said, like it's like the whole movie's just dark. Like there's really isn't no really high moments for the most part, really. And then for it to start off with, like you said, the battle with Balrog and stuff like that. It's like just deep in the fucking minds of fucking Moria and shit. It's fucking sick.
Yeah, man, it definitely sets the tone for the entire movie. Especially the next part, once Gandalf and Balrog hits the water at the bottom of the pit that they're falling into. It shows Frodo waking up from a dream, and he yells out, Gandalf. And then, of course, Sam, as the protector, rolls over and says, "Are you okay, Mr. Frodo? Are you okay?" Um, and then from there, it kind of this is pretty much the opening scene of the Two Towers. You have so just to set the stage, right? So the opening scene occurs in the rocky terrain of Emil Mule. Perfect. The jagged cliffs and the dark crevices amplify the sense of danger and uncertainty. You see Frodo and Sam kind of crawling down these big cliffs, and everything like the whole way that it's shot is very like gray and dark, and it already has like a different tone than the fucking Fellowship, because the Fellowship was kind of bright, right? Now it's kind of like really grayscale, and it's like this is a different vibe already. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, and then as they're kind of walking around, Frodo looks to Sam and he tells Sam that they're not alone, and Sam's like, "What the fuck?" And then they go to sleep at nightfall, right? And that's when we get Gollum crawling around. He's crawling around. He's been following them ever since the Mines of Moria, and they pretend to sleep, and that's when they take Gollum from the cliff. But yeah, as Frodo and Sam tries to navigate their way, Gollum sneaks up on them. When they catch him, Sam initially wants to kill him. He does not like him, but Frodo intervenes, sparing Gollum's life. This moment sets the stage for Gollum's animosity towards Sam, which this whole movie is pretty much Sam fucking hating Gollum, which is hilarious. When Frodo and Sam argue about Gollum's fate, Gollum reveals his fierce, unpredictable nature. He hisses and snarls, showcasing his feral instincts. This behavior signals the precarious balance of the relationship. But yeah, it pretty much Gollum, is like, no, 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 like, how dare you touch me? He's like fighting them, and Sam has to keep taking him off of Frodo because Gollum wants the ring. He finally sees the ring on Frodo, and Sam's constantly trying to, pry him off of Frodo. The physical altercation begins when Gollum attacks Frodo, like I just said. As Gollum lunges forward, Sam steps in, trying to protect his master. Sam's loyalty shines already. In the first opening scenes, trying to protect Frodo from Gollum. Despite his slim appearance, Gollum exhibits surprisingly like a large amount of strength. He's a strong little like creature, man. He keeps fucking up Frodo. But the struggle intense as Frodo tries to subdue Gollum while being wary of his own safety. And then during the fight, Gollum, he mocks the hobbits a lot, particularly Sam, calling him names and accusing him of holding Frodo back, whatnot. Frodo, rather than retaliating with violence, attempts to communicate with Gollum. He recognizes the helplessness and tragedy underlying Gollum's character, which complicates his feelings of fear and pity. Frodo struggles to maintain compassion, showcases a moral dilemma, and foreshadows his own battle against the ring's corruption. But after the physical altercation, Gollum is subdued and restrained by the rope that Sam received in Lothlorien. Frodo decides to keep Gollum alive despite his ferocity, making a significant turning point. Basically, Gollum was like, "Oh, master, I will take you. I know the way to Mordor." And Frodo's like, "You shall take us to the Black Gate." And then Sam is like, "Oh hell no!" He's like, we ain't doing this shit. I ain't going anywhere where this Gollum creature is taking me. He's gonna take us to death." Which, kind of, but yeah, I think the opening scene was pretty damn dope, and it introduces us to Gollum, and it introduces what Gollum's character is going to be. Why is he there? Well, he's gonna help guide Frodo and Sam to the Black Gate and to Mordor. But yeah, man, anything you want to add to this opening scene of the Two Towers?
No, you nailed it. Like you said, the landscape is a lot darker, more barren. Uh,
Yeah.
well, the atmosphere is more darker. The land's more barren. Um, I think because like one like as they get closer to Mordor, like they're the more danger that they're in. Also, the more stuff that's in the way, the more like creatures and just like crazy stuff like that is closer to the lands of Mordor. And then like you said, the introduction to Gollum, which I did want to say that like I think Andy Serkis did an amazing job as Gollum, dude. He's so good, so like talented. It really brought the creature of Gollum to life and really like embodied the character and made it into like we said before like the most iconic character in Lord of the Rings, like the character everyone knows about. So yeah, Andy Serkis did an amazing job with Gollum.
He did a like outstanding job, and I don't think anybody else could have played Gollum the way that he did. He absolutely dominated that character, and he made that character his own, which
Mm,
I think was the best. He has just the voice he has is incredible. He has such an incredible
mm,
voice, and it sounds like it's hard for him to do that voice, but it's not because he does it such with ease, and it's just
mm.
incredible everything that he did for Gollum. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, he did a crazy job.
Hell yeah, and he showcases that job throughout the next two films.
Mm.
Like I don't know, man, it's just crazy. But that was the opening scene. And then our next major scene we're gonna be talking about. Of course, we're talking about major scenes here, not every single scene in the movie, but we're talking about the next major scene. Eduardo's gonna take us on a journey of Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli when they're tracking Merry and Pippin into Fangorn Forest. Plus the introduction to a an old friend that we thought we lost. Eduardo, you want to take it away?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, the last we left, Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, they kind of let Frodo go at the end of Fellowship, and then knowing that both Merry and Pippin got taken by the Urukai, they went hunting for these Urukai to try to get Merry and Pippin back. Um, so yeah, so once we cut to them, um, the the Urukai kind of sense already that there's someone like on their trail. They smell human flesh, is what they say, and so it kind of gives both Merry and Pippin a clue of like, okay, Aragorn's coming. Um, so then Pippin kind of drops his like little like pendant. I forgot what it's called. It's a specific name to it, but he dropped it so that way it'll leave like a little clue behind for them, knowing that they're on the right track and catching up to them. And then um, there's moments of like of comedy because like they're all running and then like freaking Gimli's like the one that's like tracking behind them and he's like barely trying to catch up to them. And then like let's just say, come on, you catch up. And then just thought it was funny, like every time it comes up where like he says that the dwarves are like natural sprinters and like they're very dangerous in short distances. Like I always thought that's like it's like such a funny line because they're fucking dwarves. Like oh, they're just so funny. Um, but Aragorn is a great tracker. So he continues to you know keep the path that the Urukai is on. And then because they're both taking them to Saruman over to Isengard. So then the Uruk-hai kind of rest overnight. They kind of stop, try to get some rest. And as they're doing so, um, they kind of start fighting amongst themselves, the Uruk-hai and the orcs that are together. They fight against themselves because they're hungry. They want to eat, and the orcs suggest that they should eat both Merry and Pippin. But the Uruk-hai is like, no, we got to take them to Saruman unharmed. So then, like, a whole fight breaks out, and then as it's happening, the riders of Rohan, who we don't know that's them yet, but they show up overnight, kill all the Uruk-hai, all the orcs, everyone there, and just kind of burns their bodies. And then in that moment, we kind of just assume that everyone's dead and stuff like that. But then it cuts to pretty much the next day, and then there's like that famous line from Legolas that he says that um, like people know, of course, where he says the red sun rises and then blood has been spilled this night. Such a I love that line. Like I don't know, I fucking love it. It's so fucking sick. Um, so then as they're on the trail, they run into the riders of Rohan, who are just like roaming um the lands, trying to kill orcs or kill whatever's around them, try to keep them away from Rohan. And then so Legolas, Aragorn, and Gimli kind of speak to them, speak to what's it called, Elmer, who's kind of like the leader of all of them, and tells them that well, first they know who they are, but then Aragorn says he's like he knows like King Theoden, whatever. And that's where Elmer explains that King Theoden is mind has been poisoned by Saruman, and it's kind of taken over lordships of the land of Rohan there. Um, and then they ask him about the hobbits. Haven't they seen them or at least a group of Uruk-hai that have been running around? And then that's where Emmer tells them that they all slain overnight, and that they left no one alive. Um, and then they were kind of gifted these horses, so then they kind of ride to the spot where everything had happened the night before. But meanwhile, it kind of cuts to both Merry and Pippin for a little bit, and then that's where they first are introduced to Treebeard, um, as they're trying to run and escape from the orc that's chasing them, and then Treebeard kind of comes out and saves both of them. And then there's like a little glimpse of Gandalf as well in that little moment, but we don't get to see like his face or anything just yet. Up until Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas finally get to that site, and they kind of see all the bodies burnt. But like I said, Aragorn's such a good like tracker, and like he can tell that the hobbits kind of both were able to escape, and then go into Fangorn Forest. So they go in there, chase after them, and then um, that's where Gandalf the White first reveals himself. Um, they think it's Saruman though because of the just the white aura and all that stuff. So they're trying to attack him, but then he finally reveals himself to be Gandalf. And then you get like the little flashback that shows him how he kind of finally was able to defeat Balrog, and then like his resurrection pretty much as Gandalf the White. So then yeah, that's pretty much that whole scene there. Anything else you want me to add?
No, man, it was an epic fucking scene. I did a good job covering it, man. Just like you did with the opening scene of the Fellowship. Every time you're like talking about it, I'm like, I can picture each scene, like each like frame. It's
Evan?
crazy, but yeah, this was just an epic scene, man. It was very you know, when Gandalf the White comes back. I mean, like we just saw Gandalf the Gray, and now he's Gandalf the White. His his beard's a little shorter. He has like a white cloak now. He's like a
Mm-hmm.
completely transformed, you know, wizard, and it's crazy
Mm-hmm.
that he just came back like that. But yeah, man. It's funny here in Texas. Sorry, gosh, shout it out, but the sunrises and sunsets are like so big here. So
Yeah.
every morning on the way to work, I always text my wife. I'm like, a red sun rises," and she's like, "Yes, Willie, we know." I'm like, "But you don't. I see it every morning. You know, as a red sun rises." And she's like, "All right, dude." But yeah, man. The scene's just epic. And thankfully the orcs didn't kill Merry and Pippin. What a plot twist that would have been if they actually did die, right? But yeah, nope, they survived, and just like you said, they found Treebeard, they found the Ents, and that plays a huge part in this movie as well, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, the ants and the tree bear get introduced, and yeah, they play a pretty big role going forward. Um, More so in this movie specifically, for sure.
Yeah.
Which
But
we'll
yeah,
talk about a little bit later.
we'll definitely get there, man. We have a lot more to talk about.
Mm.
This is our third major scene we're going to be talking about. So, right after Gandalf is introduced and Merry Pippin is safe, and Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli know that the White Wizard has saved them, and the White Wizard is talking about Gandalf. It kind of goes on from there, and then it goes back to Frodo and Sam, which we have the iconic Dead Marshes scene. I think just visually, this scene stands out to everybody. The Dead Marshes, right? Both visually striking and narratively significant. Frodo and Sam and Gollum descend from the heights of the cliffs that they were just at, entering the treacherous landscape of the Dead Marshes. This change in environment signifies a shift to a more perilous part of their journey. So Gollum has now accepted the role of the guide to the Black Gate and to Mordor. But he takes them through like a lot of strange things, and he's like, "This is the only way." So they take him through like this swamp called the Dead Marshes, which I was like, all right, so he's supposed to be he's a poor guy. He's a really shit guide. Gollum is the worst guide ever, dude. I would not go anywhere with Gollum. I'm the one. If Gollum was like, let's go on like a road trip, I'm driving. I'm not trusting Gollum to take me anywhere. But anyways, sorry. Moving on. So just set the kind of visual description. I guess the scene opens with a bleak portrayal of the marshes, dark waters, misty air, and remnants of ancient battles. Creates an unsettling ambience. Gollum demonstrates his knowledge of the marshes, showing Frodo and Sam how to traverse the hazardous terrain. Gollum warns them of the dead that lies beneath the water, hinting at the peril that awaits if they stray from their path. Oh, Gollum. As they walk, Frodo begins to hear the voices of the drowned calling to him. This moment highlights the corrupting influence of the ring and Frodo's gradual, succumbing to its power. So the ring in this film already from the opening scene, I think the ring even affects them then too. But every scene that Frodo and Sam is in, the ring's corruptive power affects him differently. And it's crazy how, like, as the movie goes on, the worse it gets. So Frodo, the whispers confuse him, drawing him closer to the water. He almost falls in at that point, showcasing his vulnerability under the ring's influence. Then Sam notices Frodo's trance-like state and intervenes, pulling him back from the edge. This act underscores Sam's loyalty, of course, protective status, protective nature. Sam reassures Frodo, reminding him of their purpose. But I guess Frodo did fall in, right? And once he falls into the water,
Mm.
he sees the dead water. Like the dead's floating around. The dead is like swimming around, and this is like the first like look of the dead, in in the third movie, of course, the dead helps out, but like this is the first look into what the dead looks like, and it's a pretty like intense visual appearance to the two towers. And I would even argue that this is probably the most magic like scene in the
Yeah.
entire movie, because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the movie didn't really demonstrate power all that much. It was just a bunch of battles, right? So like this was like the only like supernatural feeling of this film, man. But yeah, after successfully navigating through this stretch, the trio leaves the Dead Marshes, but the experience lingers. The scene emphasizes the psychological toll of their journey and foreshadows the trials yet to come. But yeah, I think this was a pretty iconic scene just because of the dead and the way that we see the dead and how it affects Frodo, and it kind of showcase. Isn't this Eduardo? Isn't this the scene also where Sam is cooking? And is
Um,
this the scene where he's like talking about uh we all know, right? Potatoes? Isn't this that scene
I,
too?
I think it happens like right after that. I believe it wasn't like in the actual marshes, but it happens like right after um, because I think
Okay.
Gollum doesn't want him like because I think they were trying to rest, and then Gollum's like, no, like don't start a fire or like don't do anything because like they're just shit around here that like will come and get you kind of thing. So
Mm.
like they're like don't don't do that. But yeah, the iconic potato scene. Good thing. But no, yeah, it's definitely probably one of like definitely the one of, if not probably the most frightening scene in the whole trilogy, to be honest. Because like um,
Mm.
I would argue probably like the whole scene also where like Galadriel was trying to resist that temptation, that was pretty frightening too. Um, and then I think this one like those two are probably like the most frightening scenes in the trilogy because like you said, when he falls into the water, he sees like the dead and like the dead kind of come alive in a way or whatever, like the spirits or whatever it is. So like it's definitely like frightening and like I said, not that the Fellowship was like a happy movie throughout, but like we said, this one's a whole lot darker and um and like it definitely shows like early on, of course, in the movie, and like just that whole the marshes scene is just um definitely scary. And then like because then the Nazgul, like the Witch King, like ends up showing up too, during that part. Um, so that yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, I can't argue with what you just said. Yeah, it was a pretty intense looking scene. Like you just said, I don't know if there's been like moments here and there that's pretty scary looking, but like I think you might be right. That might be like if not the most scary, it's definitely up there, man. It's a
Mhm.
pretty terrifying scene, especially for people going into the fucking theaters and it's like right in front of your face. It's pretty intense.
Yeah. No, I was literally about to mention that. I was like, I think especially in theaters, because like I mean, I mentioned like the Galadriel scene, but even that one didn't really like shake me up as much as like watching this scene in theaters. I'm like, holy shit, like watching it at home and stuff. Like it's already like frightening and stuff like that. But like, yeah, definitely watching that in theaters, like it was definitely a lot more frightening for sure. So it was just like a different feeling for the movie.
Yeah, it was, man. It really was. But we're gonna move on. We have a lot to get through as we have about six more topics, six more major scenes. I'm gonna carry on with our next major scene here. So the next major scene, of course, is the introduction to Rohan. It is, of course, when Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Gandalf goes through Rohan and sees King Theoden for the first time, and they see King Theoden under the spell of Saruman. But yeah, we can be talking about all that, so let's get right into it, man. The introduction to Rohan. Let's start there. So, the introduction it portrays Rohan as a prominent kingdom inhabited by the people known as the Rohim. This introduction occurs as the story shifts its focus to the ongoing conflict in Middle Earth. So, um, the film visually captures Rohan's vast, rolling landscape characterized by lush green fields and majestic mountains. The architecture of Rohan reflects a rustic and Anglo-Saxon influence. The wooden structures that blend seamlessly into the natural surroundings. The theme of horse riding and the importance of cavalry is pretty important, as the Rohim are renowned horsemen, emphasizing their strong bond with their steeds. But yeah, this is pretty much where we get introduced to the characters that we mentioned earlier: King Theoden, Eomer, and Eowyn. This is where they get introduced. They're from Rohan. They're the people of Rohan. But yeah, this is a pretty significant plot the pretty significant piece in the whole plot of this movie. The rival of Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and Rohan marks a turning point in the narrative. They seek to help King Theoden against the looming threat of Saruman's armies. But yeah, let's get into kind of what happened there. So King Theoden transformation and Gandalf's role in the Two Towers in this scene. Gandalf's intervention in King Theoden's life highlights themes of redemption and the struggle against manipulation. So we have Grima Wormtongue introduced into this movie too. Wormtongue, man, what a character this guy is. Serves as Saruman's puppet, using the seat to render Theoden's ineffectiveness as a leader. Theoden is trapped in a state of, undermining, kind of in a state of like no authority. He's pretty much like a zombie. That's how you can kind of look at him, leaving Rohan vulnerable to Saruman's forces. As a result of Wormtongue's whispers, Theoden appears aged, frail, and detached from his responsibilities. His castle, Edoras, mirrors his state. Pretty much all of the people in this city is pretty much like they hate it. It's not comfortable being in this city with a king that is zombified. So Gandalf the White, Eduardo, what we just mentioned, Gandalf the White comes back, and when Gandalf returns as Gandalf the White, his presence is a stark contrast to the darkness that has enveloped Rohan. He enters with an aura of authority that commands respect. So it's pretty cool. So Gandalf comes back and he has he has his old gray cloak on, and everyone thinks he's still Gandalf the Grey, but he's not. Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and Gandalf walk up to the steps to the hall that King Theoden is in. They take all of their weapons. They said you can't enter the Great Hall with all your weapons. So they take all their swords and arrows and bows. But they forget to take Gandalf's staff. You can't pardon an old man with his walking stick, right? As they enter the hall of the king, right, they kind of see how doomful it feels. They kind of sense the power of Saruman and the evil whispers of Wormtongue here. So as they enter as they enter the hall, Gandalf converses with Theoden. He emphasizes the king's former glory and the duty to his people. He uses direct language to Theoden. You cannot speak. The king is not dead. He is alive. This is some of the things that he tells them. But Gandalf employs not just physical might, but also the power of words, an intrinsic form of magic. By asserting the truth, he counters Wormtongue's deceit, and eventually he gets enough strength to push Saruman out of King Theoden's mind and his soul, and he brings King Theoden back to life. And I think the whole transformation, once Saruman leaves the soul and the body of him, is crazy, because he's aged. He has gray hair. He has wrinkles, and then just the way that they visually produced it to make everything come back to his soft, red,
Mm.
hairless face, and it's pretty crazy how they transformed that. But yeah, he begins to regain his former strength, standing upright as he rises from his throne. He commands attention and asserts his role as king. And he kind of kicks Wormtongue out of the hall too. He's like, "Nah, dude, like Wormtongue, you gotta go, bro." Kicks him out, and he kind of like pushes him down the fucking stairs. And he wants to kill him. He's so pissed. Like King Theremin's like, "Nah, he can't survive." And then Aragorn's like, "He's done enough. Let him go." Um, but yeah, I think I think that this really showed the importance of Gandalf the White, and that it really showed that he is much, much stronger than Saruman the White is. He pretty much tells the audience that he is King Wizard. Like, you're not gonna fuck with Gandalf the White. He really shows that. And then we have the King of Rohan back. He's back, and he is ready to go, man. And we'll get all into the battle that he will get into. But yeah, I think the scene was pretty powerful. Before we end it though, man, I had to. I have to talk about Howard Shore and the way that he influenced this scene. Sorry, I know I'm gonna beat this scene up, but I have to, man. um, so I think we all know the score for Rohan. It's pretty memorable. It plays a crucial role in shaping the narrative and emotional tone of the film. The theme is not just a musical motif; it encapsulates the spirit of the kingdom and its people. It's very emotional. It's somber. And then I love how Howard Shore progressively the score gets progressive as King Theoden comes back to life. And once he comes back to life, you really get the high brass of that score, not just the violin tone. And I think Howard Shore played I don't think that scene would be so iconic if it wasn't for the score that Howard Shore did. So I just wanted to touch a little bit on that. Eduardo, sorry. I'll shut up and I'll let you go. But yeah, that was pretty much the importance of this scene. But anyways, Eduardo, go on. What's your thoughts, man?
Uh, no, I mean I can never get mad about you talking about Howard Shore's impact on this movie, man. It's fucking so good. Like the whole movie can't be without this amazing score that he did. um,
Yeah,
but yeah, like you said, Gandalf the White is definitely as soon as you felt his presence when he got introduced in the forest, like you could just tell he's much more powerful. He's he's just different, and it, like you said, showcases here that he's even more powerful now than Saruman. Pretty much the most powerful person, uh, in Middle Earth at this point, really. Uh, you can argue for sure, since Sauron himself hasn't gathered his full strength or whatever. Um, but no, yeah, it's a good scene. Theoden. Every time I watch this scene, though, it reminds me of even though like this movie came out before, but maybe they got the inspiration for it. I don't know. But doesn't he remind you of like Pirates of the Caribbean, like the dead pirates? Well, not dead pirates, but like I think it was like Davy Jones. I think the movie with Davy Jones, or like all the scaled fucking like pirates and funny enough, like Orlando Bloom's character, like his dad was like all fucking scaled up and shit. Like it kind of reminds me of like kind of like that, which is kind of funny. But
yeah,
yeah, but that whole transformation of him uh from like that version of himself to like his normal self, like the CGI or whatever they use, like you said, it was like very seamless. Like it looked like really well done. Like that whole transformation. And he just looked completely different, like which is kind of crazy.
yeah, it is crazy, man. They did an amazing job with the transformation and the way it looked. And I think that nothing. I think that scene is probably near perfect, man. I can't think of anything else they needed to add or do any differently. It's just a very very badass scene, man.
So
So yeah, that was the introduction to Rohan and all that good stuff. We're gonna move on to our next major scene. So I know that this next scene takes place after um it's not in order these next two parts, but I've been talking a lot and I need a break, so we're gonna move it on to Eduardo before he gets into his long talk. But move on to Eduardo. The next thing we're gonna talk about is the Wolves of Isengard fight against the Rohan people, and Aragorn falling off of the cliff. But yeah, Eduardo, take it away, man.
so pretty much after what Willie said, the plan for the people for the people of Rohan, because they just they can't really defend the city there or defend its people there, so they decide to King Theoden decides to take all of his people to their fortress, Helm's Deep. This scene transpires in that in between period, as everyone's the whole city is evacuated and traveling to Helm's Deep. Of course, like we know, Mordecai, like the lands there aren't safe anymore. The army of Saruman and Sauron is um, very active in this movie. So this, as like I said, as they're on their journey, they kind of get ambushed by these wolves of Isengard being ridden by the orcs and stuff like that. So they kind of um, get caught off guard, not really prepared for this kind of battle. Um, as it's starting, King Theoden tells Elwyn to just keep going. Take the rest of the people to Helm's Deep. Of course, as the mighty shield maiden that she is, she wants to stay and fight. But she's kind of tasked uh, with the with the task of just taking them to the safe haven that they have in Helm's Deep. But So yeah, and then pretty much the battle kind of ensues pretty quickly after that. Again, Gimli's like kind of like the more comedic kind of relief again in this scene, because uh, he as he's encountering the wolves, like he just gets crushed by one of them as he kills it, and then like this other one's like also trying to attack him, and then like Aragorn kind of comes and kills that one, and then that one just lands on him too. So he's just getting all the bad stuff happening. But it was a short like fight scene pretty much overall, but it was fun. At the end there, Aragorn gets kind of knocked off his horse by one of the wolves, and then he kind of jumps onto another wolf with the orc on top of it, kills the orc, but his hand kind of gets stuck in the like the what's it called, like the harness or whatever that these wolves are wearing. So he kind of gets stuck on that, and then the wolf kind of just he just kind of goes off crazy, and then just kind of just falls off this big huge cliff that is there. So then uh, the battle kind of ends there, and like Legolas, Gimli, everyone's like, "Where's Aragorn? Like, what's going on?" They run into the orc that Aragorn killed right before going off that cliff. Legolas notices that the orc has that Evan Star thing that Arwen gave him, and then of course the orc just pokes fun, like, "Oh, he fell off the cliff, he's dead." So then everyone kind of takes a moment there, because they look over that cliff, and it's just a big huge uh, cliff, pretty high up, that no one should survive that type of fall. So they kind of just assume that he really is dead at that point. And then the king kind of just like, okay, well, we got to continue to Helm's Deep pretty much. So like, so it was a pretty short scene, but definitely like significant, in, as like what happened to Aragorn mainly, and then Of course, he ends up coming back and shit like that.
Yeah, it
But
was a
yeah.
pretty intense scene, man. These wolves came out of nowhere,
Mhm.
and attacked everybody. And
Yeah.
Jin, just like you said, Gimli, man, poor, poor little dwarf, man. He just get crushed. He gets like completely like like a dwarf versus a wolf probably is like the worst thing ever, dude. It really felt like a painful watch to see Gimli try his hardest to fight these fucking wolves, man, but he just could not do it. But yeah, and then like you said, Aragon takes a fall, man, and everyone thinks Aragon is gone. He's like he fell off this big ass cliff, and I guess that's the end of Aragon, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great scene. I think it was an important scene that we need to talk about. Kind of sets the stage of the second half of this movie, which we're going to get to. Before we get to that, I want to encourage you all to go to X, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. Follow us there, support us on there. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Leave us a comment, share it to your friends. Let us know what you think. Let us know why you love Lord of the Rings, why you clicked on this. Like, let us know what your thoughts are. We would definitely encourage and like your support and your feedback. But yeah, we're gonna move on, man. Before the Wolves of Isengard fight, before Aragorn falls off the cliff, um, before they leave Rohan, Aragorn has a dream, man, and this dream was pretty intense. This dream is between him and Arwen, the love of his life, and I think it was a pretty important scene just for the character development of Aragorn and Arwen. I think it was pretty important. So just to talk about it pretty briefly before we move on to an epic scene. The setting is, of course, the dream takes place in a mystical space, reflecting Aragorn's subconscious fears and desires. Arwen is depicted in a dreamlike state, often with flowing, luminous clothing. Highlights her half elf and symbolizes hope. The mood is melancholy. Aragorn's uncertainty about his future and his thoughts on mortality and love. So Aragorn's desire for Arwen, it illustrates the strength of their love despite the challenging they faces. But yeah, this dream serves as a reminder of Arwen's elven nature and a choice that separates mortals and immortals, creating a tension between their different lives. Um, but yeah, the dream, Aragorn struggles with his destiny as a leader of men. He wrestles with the weight of his lineage and what is expected of him. Scene deepens the audience's understanding of Aragorn. It portrays him not just as a warrior, but also as a man torn between love and duty. This dream hints at future events in the story where the bond between Aragorn and Arwen will be tested, and their love will play a crucial role in the outcome of the battle against Sauron. Ultimately, Arwen represents hope for Aragorn, motivating him in his pursuit of unity and peace for Middle Earth. So I think this scene really showcased the love story of Lord of the Rings. We haven't really had like a love story until now, and Aragorn and Arwen is like the classic perfect love story that this epic fantasy story needed. And it really showcased, just like I said, Aragorn is struggling, man. He's like, I have this elf, princess that I want so bad, but I don't know if I should let her go. I don't know if she should be with her own, land. But like, she wants something else. I want to be with Aragorn. I don't care if I'm gonna die. Like, I want to be with him, and it really showcases a lot in that scene, and it really showcases Aragorn struggling with, what he has to do, because like a lot of pressure is on his back. He's the king, or he's going to be the king. He's the rightful heir to the throne. So he's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm having a really hard time, and I think this dream really. I think this movie really tells us what Aragon is and how he thinks and how he acts, and I think
Mhm.
this scene really showcases that, Eduardo.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah, you get more of an insight of like said how like Aragorn thinks, more about like him as a character. His character definitely progresses a whole lot more. It like you said, it shows more of like the stakes of what um, what he kind of has to go through and what he kind of has to decide, and what does he want? What does he choose? Because like we said, like he's the heir to the throne of Gondor, um, and then like you said, this big love love piece with Arwen, um, where like like you said, he doesn't want her to give up this life, this like immortality, just for him, um, and yeah, like you grow a lot with Aragorn in this movie, 100%, which I love, which is great, and like Viggo Mortensen does such a good job, of course, as the character, so yeah, man, it's a deep scene, and yeah, I'm glad like it, they added it onto it, and it's like I said, it's pretty brief, but it's a pretty big piece to the whole like story.
Yeah, man, it definitely is. And just looking at it so far, man, we're more than halfway through this movie, and it's been nothing but doom and torture. It's like nothing
Mm-hmm.
good has happened yet. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's been a lot of downfall, man, and it doesn't get any better really. But we're gonna move on. Oh, Eduardo. So after Aragorn falls off the cliff, right? He pretty much comes back. His horse helps him up, and he comes back. And Lord Aragon, where where is he? But he comes back and pretty much just sets up the battle of Helm's Deep. Now, this battle does happen throughout the second half of the film, so it has like a lot of cuts. It's not just like one straight battle for like an hour straight. But Eduardo's gonna take us on this journey, and any chance that you need like a break, let me know, and we can kind of cut it in half if you want to. But Eduardo, you have a big journey ahead of you, and I wanted you to take this because I was like, I think I think you can do probably a better job because I would have just been rambling on for fucking 2 hours. But yeah, Eduardo's gonna take us through the Battle of Helm's Deep. Take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, bear with me for sure. It's a long battle. Um, I do want to say, like, so this is probably the reason why this movie is my favorite one of all of them, though, because I love this battle so much. I also think it's like the best battle just ever made for like movie and TV show. Like this battle is just so good. Like to me, I don't know, ever since as a kid, just growing up watching it, like I just love this fucking battle. Like to me, it's just like so epic, and like in the scale that it was done, um, like I just can't imagine like all the shit that went into it. What like Peter Jackson had to do to like create this whole thing. Like it's like a masterpiece of a battle for sure for me. So yeah, like Willie said, bear with me. This whole battle, like you said, there's it kind of cuts in and out with pretty much the rest of the whole movie at this point. But yeah, it's definitely a big piece for sure. Um, so yeah, so as they arrive to Helm's Deep, um, what's it called? Like I said, the it kind of cuts to Saruman, um, and then he's kind of speaking with Wormtongue, um, giving this like big kind of like monologue speech, and then that's where he shows Wormtongue this big army of like I think it was like 10,000 fucking Urukai that he built, and it's just like the scene how it like pans out, and like I said, he's in his tower and he just comes out and just this huge massive army just taking over Isengard is freaking insane. So uh so yeah, he tells them to march to Helm's Deep and just kill everyone leave no one alive. So as they go there, that's when like Willie mentioned the whole like Aragorn scene where he gets picked up by his horse, gets ridden to Helm's Deep, and in that moment, like in that phase where he's traveling, he kind of like runs into, well, he sees like the army traveling, so when he gets to Helm's Deep, that's when he warns King Theoden, saying like, this army's coming, and then that's kind of like the moment where they all kind of prepare for battle, um, and then as they're preparing, Aragorn's like, we don't really have an army for these people, like we have like our soldiers, but like they're gathering every able body pretty much, other than women, like even if they're kids, like old men, whatever, like they don't know how to fight, but like they kind of got no choice, because this army's coming. So Aragorn wants King Theoden to kind of go, kind of send riders, ask for help, and then uh, the King Theoden kind of gives like a really like good speech of um, who's out there, like who's gonna come, like elves, like dwarves, um, um, like all these old like alliances, like between all the races, like they're dead. And then he's like, Gondor will come and help, and he's like, Gondor, like where was Gondor when everything happened in Rohan, and like where's Gondor been and stuff like that. Um, and then he says like, he says we're not all lucky in our friends as you are, as like Aragorn has kind of been throughout this journey where he he's had all these like good relationships with the elves and the dwarves and stuff like that. um so yeah, so that was pretty kind of like emotional, pretty good scene there, where he's like, no one's coming to help us. We're kind of like on our own. And then like as like shortly after that, that's where Haldir shows up, and he comes in with this big army of elves that were sent by Elrond, um, and then kind of gives like a little like there was once an alliance between elves and men, and then we intend to to kind of honor that alliance that we once had. So at least they got a couple more people, or a couple more hands there helping, because this huge army is coming. Um, and then again, it kind of Gimli, of course, is pretty much the whole comedic relief of this whole movie, really. As they're all standing, just awaiting the arrival of the Uruk-hai, waiting for this battle to happen. He can't see shit because the wall is taller than he is, and he's standing behind them. He's like, "Tell me what's going on." And it's just so funny. But the battle pretty much starts, like an arrow from um, uh, like the Rohan people accidentally gets shot into one of the orcs, and then boom, that's when everything fucking starts to happen. I do want to point out like the funny part between like Legolas and Gimli, where they're always kind of kill counting, and in that moment where like Gimli's like, I got two, and then Legolas is like, I'm on 17. And he's like, what? So then he starts going off and just kills more people, which I thought that was hilarious. But no, like, so yeah, like this is where I mentioned like Peter Jackson's, like I can just imagine the amount of work and stuff that went into it, because it's just like the way it's shot, and like how we talked about as far as like I haven't done all the behind the scenes stuff for this, but I'm definitely curious to what I'll find out for this scene specifically once I do, because like I can't, like just the way it was shot, like the big like the far shots and stuff like that, with like everything showing, and like it just looks like how we talked about, like with like practical sets and a lot of the CGI and stuff that they use, like it just looks so like realistic and so like really well done. And I think that's also why it's, like I said, for me just like one of the the greatest battles in like movie history just created because of like just the visuals of how everything looks. But yeah, man, like these fucking orcs have these huge fucking ladders that are fucking hanging up on the walls, just fucking jumping on it, getting on top of everything. Um, and then like everything, just pure chaos at the whole scene. I wanted to point out like that, like the kamikaze orc that like they put like that bomb underneath the fucking like the sewer kind of entrance, and then he just fucking runs and just like throws himself into the fucking bomb and like just takes out like that whole wall. That was pretty crazy. And then another main part is like the orcs are trying to kind of breach that main gate, the main entrance. And then uh, there's like that moment, like that big iconic moment where Legolas is also where he gets on that shield and he just like rides it all the way down the steps and he's just like throwing arrows. Dude, that shit looks so. Dude, I love that scene. It looks fucking sick. Um, and then he just like jumps off the fucking shield and then just goes straight into a fucking orc's like neck, dude. It's just fucking sick. But yeah, as that's happening, like so the main gate's being breached, and then that's where like Legolas or Aragorn and Gimli kind of go up on that like kind of sidestep thing, and then that's where like the whole scene of like Gimli getting thrown into, like everyone and where he's like, don't tell the elf that he's getting thrown into, which is fucking hilarious. um, so yeah, that happens. They try as best as they can to kind of keep these people out, or keep all the orcs from penetrating this keep. But it's just overwhelming forces. There's just not enough, you know, people, Rohan people, elves, fighting this battle. Um, and then it cuts to like that sad moment as like King Theoden kind of tells everyone to retreat. Kind of go back into the keep because the main walls, pretty much broken at that time. And then that's where Haldir dies. It's pretty kind of crazy scene. He gets kind of stabbed, and then this orc just kind of gets this sword and just like stabs him, just like around top of the head. Man, it's pretty like crazy, man. And then Haldir dies there, unfortunately. And then like I said, they kind of get the wall gets breached. They kind of retreat back to the bridge, and then it kind of cuts back to Theoden, Aragorn, kind of talking. Like Theoden at that point is kind of like defeated. He pretty much like his hope is kind of like lost. And then Aragorn kind of like talks him up and says um, like like don't be so uh, like in despair, I guess, or whatever the right word would be. Just like if we're gonna die, then let's die with honor. Let's just let's ride together and just take out as many as we can before. But in that kind of moment, you hear like Gandalf's voice because Gimli reminds him like that the sun's rising. And then because in one of the previous scenes, Gandalf goes and has to do what he has to do, and then he tells Aragorn that on the I think he said on like the fifth day at dawn or something, just look to the east, and he'll be there. So that idea pops into Aragorn's head as they just literally just run into, just literally just get on horses and just ride through all these fucking orcs in Urukai. Once they get down to kind of pretty much the bottom of the whole castle, the whole keep or whatever, they look to the east, and that's where Gandalf is. Behind him, with Ilmer, and then he arrives with the whole like Rohirrim army, pretty much that he was able to gather. And then just a huge fucking clash that happens there. Um, the orcs at that point are overwhelmed, and stuff like that. And then they retreat, and then the Battle of Helm's Deep is won. At that point, the kind of like the little pretty much towards the end of the movie at this point, Gandalf says he knows Sauron or like this ain't the end, like Sauron, Sauron, he knows that Sauron's going to retaliate really very quickly after this defeat. And then he says the battle for Helm's Deep is over, but the battle for Middle Earth is about to begin. And then like we just know what's going to happen with everything in Return of the King. But such a pretty big epic line there at the end of Two Towers, and just after this crazy insane battle that just happened.
Yeah, man. What a scene. What a topic, man. I'm glad that you made it through. That was a long battle, long topic and a long section, and you did a really good job covering everything, man. But yeah, that battle is epic, and I don't know. It might be the best battle ever made for TV or film, man, because it really is that epic. But one thing I want to point out is there was a secret passage to the other side of the mountain there the
Mm-hmm.
entire time,
True, true.
and at the very end when they're about to ride out, that's when they choose to push everybody through the secret entrance. You couldn't do that before the battle even started. What are you? Where did this come from? So I
That's
was
true.
like, what the fuck? I was like, dude, that really doesn't make much sense. But I mean, whatever. Like, I would have got the kids and the fucking women out long ago. But anyways, but yeah, besides that part, I think it was a perfect battle, a perfect scene, and yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I don't even think I can even say anything more, man. You pretty much talked about every major thing that happened in the battle,
Yeah.
and I just want to talk about the ladders that they use looked heavy as fuck. Like it
True.
looked so heavy, and just the way that they were like bringing them up, I'm like, how can
Yeah.
you even like walk it up on this giant wall? It's
The
crazy, dude.
physics. Yeah, the physics behind that
Yeah,
is literally insane.
yeah,
Because you also see them literally riding the fucking ladder as it's coming up like that. Like that's why it just looks so fucking sick that like what I mean? Like it just looks fucking crazy. But yeah, the
it does,
physics
dude.
behind that like just like literally knows like I say, but it looks fucking cool.
No. Yeah, yeah, it really did. It really did.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that's an epic battle, epic scene, and just like Eduardo said, this battle took place within the last hour and 20 minutes of the entire film. So there was a lot of cutscenes and a lot of things happened, you know,
Dude,
during the a battle. So
and it was so much longer in the extended version. Like it was literally like I think this was happening in like the last hour, but like of course watching it in theaters you can't really see the time, but I'm sure in actual theaters it's probably like the last 2 hours of the fucking thing, or like at least like the last hour 45, because like
yeah.
that shit was But I also
Mm-hmm.
wanted to mention to me like the score that was happening during this whole scene also is what also makes this just like my favorite fucking battle scene and shit ever. Also, um, just like again like Howard Shore's score for the whole battle scene is just so fucking epic, man. Like it makes it just 10 times better. Just listening to the fucking music happening.
Yeah, it definitely gets you like that feeling you gotta sit at the edge of your seat because the score
Mm-hmm.
is like, doof, doof, doof. It's just a
Yeah, it's
lot of
just so
like a lot of drumming, man. It's really epic and it matches like the intensity of the battle,
yeah,
which is really hard to do, but he nailed it, man.
yeah, it's so fucking good. I love this battle. Like I can literally just go back and watch this battle like anytime. Like I can just turn on just that like last hour and just watch that whole thing. Like it's just so
Yeah,
good.
it is, and everything that happened in between the battle, which we're going to talk to. We have a couple more things that we need to mention for this movie. Eduardo's going to take us through another part, which was pretty important. As the Battle of Helm's Deep is underway, the battle against Isengard is also underway. This is when the Ents attack Isengard, and Eduardo, I think you have, if you have any room, any more air in those lungs of yours to speak about Isengard and the battle of that, go ahead, bro.
uh, yeah, luckily this scene is a lot less. It's a lot quicker than than the whole Helm's Deep battle. But it's also very
Yeah.
important. Coming back to the Ents. We mentioned them earlier. How important they became towards the end of this movie. Um, so like yeah, like Willie said, this is kind of happening all in between this battle of Helm's Deep. Um, so it kind of cuts over to back to Merry, Pippin, Treebeard, the rest of the Ents. So they kind of all Treebeard kind of gathers them all together, and it's pretty funny like that little beginning part because Treebeard's like, well, we came to a conclusion, and then like Mary really is like thinking, okay, like he's giving us the the decision they made about Isengard and Saruman, but he's like, well, we've all agreed that you guys are not orcs, and he's like, and then Pepper's like, well, that's great news. But fucking Mary's like, nah, like I don't give a fuck what you guys think we are. Like, what about fucking Saruman? This shit, I thought it was hilarious. And then Treebeard's like falling asleep as he's like fucking saying it. So, this shit's hilarious. But no, like so then Mary kind of goes off on this little monologue, kind of this little rant of his, saying like because the Ents in that moment, they're not picking a side. They're just kind of letting everything kind of happen. They're not, they don't want to go to war. They say it's kind of like not their battle. So like I said, Mary's just mad. He's like, what about our friends? What about this war of evil? And you guys are just not going to do anything to help. So then at that point, Treebeard is like, like you guys are just like hobbits, pretty much. Like you guys should just go back home. Like like kind of like what can you guys kind of do about it? So in that moment, kind of Pippin kind of tricks Treebeard into, I think instead of going north, I believe, he tells him to go south, which is the way towards Isengard. And Treebeard's like so confused, he's like, why do you guys want to go south? You're just going right into the enemy. But he agrees. He ends up taking them through this south path, and they get to the point where the forest is just destroyed from a certain point on. Of course, we know that from like the first movie. Mainly is when they show them, breaking down all the trees and using the wood and stuff for, um, to be able to create this army, to be able to create all the weapons and stuff in Isengard. So yeah, so then Treebeard, of course, saying he knew these trees. They were good friends. They all had their own voice. Is angry. He calls upon the rest of the Ents, and they all kind of march down and say that march down and go towards Isengard. And then he kind of he says this line where he says it's the last march of the Ents, because they're like he said that like we all might die going down to fucking Isengard, but he's like and then now we're ready to go to war because they killed all our friends, stuff like that. Um, so yeah, well, once they arrive to Isengard, they kind of all they pretty much just destroy what is left there of Isengard. I guess because mainly there's not much of an army left. I guess at that point because they all kind of marched towards Helm's Deep, so there's not a whole lot of orcs kind of defending Isengard at that point. So yeah, just that whole scene of them just fucking killing, pretty much just destroying, what's left of Isengard. They open up that dam that I guess the orcs created to keep the river from flowing, and then that river just pretty much wipes out the rest of what the orcs had built. And then in that moment, you see like Saruman's like panic face pretty much for the first time. Um, Definitely not sure of himself at that point anymore, and kind of defeated in that moment, really. So yeah, that's pretty much that scene there.
Yeah, man, Saruman is not King Bitch anymore. We have a new white wizard. But but yeah, I mean the Ents definitely did their job. They created the destruction of Isengard, so no more army can be created. Very important scene, and I think it's very important for the Ents to get some love because they're a big important part in this whole story. And I don't think if it wasn't for them, it would be a really hard ending to this whole trilogy if they didn't
Yeah.
defeat Isengard the way that they did. But yeah, a lot of funny moments with Pippin and Mary and Treebeard. But yeah, man, I think you nailed pretty much everything that needed to be said.
Yeah.
But yeah, so next on our list, whew, it's been an hour and a half already. We're gonna skim through it. We need to talk about Faramir, and him capturing Frodo with Sam and Gollum, and the temptation that he had for the ring, and then the attack from the Nazguls on Osgiliath. Osgiliath? What? How do you say that? But yeah, let's just get right into it. Let's make this a bit quicker so we can wrap things up. But it was definitely an important scene. It plays a huge part in Frodo and Sam and what they went through. So yeah, so pretty much Faramir, the captain of Gondor's Rangers, and his men ambush Frodo and Sam as they attempt to navigate the borders of Gondor. Um, of course, this encounter marked by tension as Frodo invokes the name of his burden, the One Ring. Unlike his brother Boromir, Faramir shares a more tempered and cautious demeanor initially. He recognizes Frodo's potential as a barrier of a great burden. Faramir captures the two hobbits, but is faced with the moral conflict. He's aware of the ring's corrupting power and is tempted by the idea of using it to save Gondor, contrasting Boromir's earlier succumbing to temptation. So he kind of has the same thought, not so aggressive as Boromir, but he's like, maybe I should not let you go because I could use you. In a pivotal scene, Faramir and Frodo discusses the nature of the ring. Frodo reveals that the ring is not just a tool, it has a will of its own. Faramir's restraint becomes evident as he decides not to take the ring from Frodo. And during this whole capture, pretty much he's asking Frodo and Sam, was there somebody else with you? Is there anybody else with you? And Frodo and Sam's like, nah, like we've been just walking on our own, like nothing's going on, man. But they know, and they capture Gollum as well. And Gollum's just there eating fucking fish off of a fucking lake, like nothing's fucking wrong. I'm
That's
like,
just so
dude, Gollum, you're
stupid.
just like you're supposed to be the fucking guide, and so far you're being another shit fucking guide. You're doing terrible again, bro. But he's just there eating a fish, singing on a rock, like everything's like perfect. But you know, after Frodo is like truthful, he says, yes, it's Gollum, he is our guide to Mordor. And Faramir's like, all right, go to him. And then Frodo's like, come here, Gollum, come here, Gollum. And Gollum's like, master. um and then pretty much Faramir is like, all right, like these people are like weird as fuck. I'm not gonna like touch them. But he kind of like agrees to like let him go, but not until they get attacked. Pretty much the Nazguls find their way to Frodo once again, and they attack the little town or whatever they're at called Osgiliath. I think that's how you say it. It pretty much highlights the tension and the urgency and despair surrounding Frodo, Sam, and Faramir's quest. Right. Just to break it down a little bit more, as Frodo and Sam navigate the ruins with Faramir, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. The Nazguls arrive mounted on their winged beast dragons. It pretty much create like this giant tension. They weren't aware that the Nazgul was going to come. Frodo is immediately affected by the Nazgul's presence. Once again, every scene that Frodo and Sam is in, the ring corrupts them more and more, and it really shows here. He senses the overwhelming fear and darkness they bring, illustrating the internal struggle with the ring's weight. The scene captures Frodo's vision of the Eye of Sauron, which represents the overreaching threat looming over Middle Earth. So it gets worse and worse. I mean, Middle Earth is coming alive more and more, and the Nazgul is trying so hard to get this ring more and more, and it really is affecting Frodo. The attack, the Nazgul sweep down, wrecking chaos. The sudden attack creates a disoriented chaos, forcing everyone to react quickly. The visuals emphasize the horror of combat, showcasing the vulnerability and with both Faramir's faces and Frodo and Sam. The Nazguls draw closer. Frodo grapples with the One Ring's lure. He pretty much Sam intervenes with a critical moment. He tackles Frodo as Frodo is about to put on. Pretty much, Frodo's like, "Here, take the ring," and Sam's like, "Nah, like we can't do that." So he tackles him to the ground, and then Frodo's like fucking pissed. But that's pretty much how it ends, and then everyone's attacking the Nazguls, getting them out of there. But it leaves the city pretty damaged. Everything is pretty much in fire and destroyed. Um, but it pretty much plays a gruesome moment in this, and that's when Faramir's like, "All right, I can see, like, I don't want no part of this." He's like, "You keep the ring, you can go now, like, please leave." And it kind of releases the capture and the burden to Faramir. Faramir's like, "Nah, Boromir like wanted it, and he fucking died for it, so like, I'm not gonna die right now, y'all can like go." And that's pretty much how Frodo, Sam, and Gollum got away, and by the pity and kind of Faramir's lack of corruption from the ring. But yeah, that's pretty much how that whole situation happened. That was just in a nutshell. So much more happened in all that scenes, but just to kind of speed it up quickly. Anything else you want to add to that one, Eduardo?
Uh, no, he nailed it. It's just fucking Gollum is just so good. He just fucking banging the fucking fish on the rock. It's just so fucking hilarious. Just having a grand old time. Just fucking. It's just so funny. But no, yeah, you nailed it
I know.
pretty well.
Faramir's like, "Are you sure you like know
Yeah.
him?" And Frodo's like, "Yeah, I do."
Oh man, she's so good, man. It's so good.
But that leads us to the ending of the film, which Eduardo's going to take us through. We're coming at this episode is pretty much the same length as the Fellowship of the Ring episode, but the ending of this is when Eduardo's going to take us through kind of what Gollum says at the end once they get kind of released from captured from Faramir. So Eduardo, take us through the ending of the Two Towers.
Yeah. So again, like kind of talked about with that guide, Gollum is, um, after he himself finding the ring, and being, um, at the will of the ring, just kind of taking over him. breaking him down, and just you know not being this Stewart Hobbit that he was. Kind of has like this split personality kind of thing where um, he's Smeagol but also Gollum at the same time, and he kind of course talks to himself, and it almost seems like he's kind of easily corrupted by the mind of Gollum, I guess, or whatever, with that temptation. Like you can kind of see like he wants to be good. Yes, Smeagol, and then Gollum just kind of does his part and just like no, like we got they like this is what we have to do kind of thing. Which is always like a funny kind of fun back and forth that they always do. But yeah, so pretty much once they get released, they know the path that they got to travel to continue on going to towards Mordor, and yeah, Smeagol is Gollum again is trying to speaking to Smeagol, saying Frodo, the master tricks us, and he broke his promise, that he would never hurt Smeagol, he would protect them, whatever, after being captured by Faramir, and everything that he just did, as Willie mentioned. Um, so Gollum kind of has the plan to he says like we got to kill them both, and take the ring for ourselves. And Smeagol's like, yes, like that's what we have to do. But then he says that the fat hobbits knows everything and is always watching, which of course is referring to Sam. Also, before that, that's where like we get introduced to Samwise the Brave, which that's always a little funny scene. uh, Love moment between the Frodo and Sam, which is funny. But uh, but yeah, so the fat hobbits is always watching, and Gollum says he has the idea of we could always let her do it, is what he says. Referring to this creature that gets introduced in Return of the King. So Gollum, yeah, pretty much just has this set in stone that I know what to do. We'll take her to this creature. Uh, it'll kill both Frodo and Sam for us, and then we'll take the ring for ourselves. And then yeah, that's pretty much how it ends. Continuing the path, and then knowing that Gollum is going to lead him to this trap that we'll get into in the next movie.
Yeah, man, I think it was a good ending to the Two Towers. Pretty much this entire movie was a pretty sad, dark movie in the middle of the road of this trilogy. But yeah, I think we did a great job, Eduardo. We did a good job going through all the major scenes of the Two Towers, and it's going to be really exciting to do the final movie, The Return of the King, because a lot happened in that film, and I think the way that this ended really showcases the hope that we have for The Return of the King, which should be a pretty fun episode to talk about as well. But I guess, Eduardo, before we wrap this all up, anything else that you want to add that we missed?
No, man, that was fun. Like I said, this is after doing Fellowship, of course, and then like I said, this has always been, like I said, my favorite one out of all of them. So it's definitely fun to talk about this one specifically for sure. And then I can't wait to, like I said, get into Return of the King. But no, like I said, it was fun. Like I said, we appreciate you guys. Again, it would mean so much for you guys to hit the like, subscribe button, follow us on YouTube, uh, X, Instagram, TikTok. Um, you know, appreciate you guys tuning in, watching. Again, like I said, hope you guys like it. Let us know, how we're doing over here. But yeah, this is just, like I said, it's a fun thing that we both love to do, love to talk about. So, appreciate you guys, for the support. But yeah, pretty much it.
Absolutely, man. You said it perfectly. Go back and watch the complete guide. Go back and watch the Fellowship of the Ring. And please like this video and comment down below what you thought. And stay tuned for more. We have a few more episodes actually lined up for y'all. But the next one, of course, is going to be The Return of the King and the breakdown for that movie. So stay tuned. And until then, I hope you all have a good night. And we will talk to you all later. Peace out.
Peace.